What's up, Grappa fans? Today I want to talk about steering stabilizers. Now my truck has an 8-inch BDS. It's actually sitting at 10 inches on the Fox coilovers that I cranked up a little bit. And I've got the dual Fox steering stabilizers. I'm running 40s, and it's just what you do. If you're getting a lift kit and bigger tires, you put on steering stabilizers. I haven't ever questioned it. I put them on there as soon as the lift was installed. I've never driven this truck on 40s without the dual steering stabilizers. So today I want to take them off and see how much difference they actually make. I've had a few people asking me, do you need the dual steering stabilizers? And I'm assuming that you do, but I haven't really seen any proof of it. So I want to drive around and show y'all how it does with these steering stabilizers on here. And then, like I said, take them off and show y'all what it drives like without them. Does it really make that big of a difference? Are they a lifesaver? Or, you know, is it really not that noticeable? So this truck does come with a factory steering stabilizer, and that one is still installed as well. So I've got 3 steering stabilizers on this thing right now. I don't really see the need of taking them all off because the stock truck is going to have one on it. So I'm just going to take off the aftermarket Fox ones. But let's go ahead and see how it's doing right now. I've been driving it like this for 2 years. I'm very used to how it drives, so I should be able to tell a difference when I take them off, if there is much of a difference. All right, for a little background on what a steering stabilizer does, it's basically just a shock. And shocks resist movement. They don't really hold up your truck or support the weight. They kind of just want to stay where they're at. So as your truck moves, it kind of just fights the movement so that when you hit a big bump, it doesn't end up bouncing the whole time and forever. Because if you have ridden in a car that has blown out shocks, you may know that it kind of just hops around and feels crazy. And that's what a steering stabilizer does for your steering wheel. When you hit a bump, it resists movement and it keeps it from jerking the wheel. Now, it also resists movement when you're sitting still too. So with that, I'll show you turning from a dead stop. You'll notice is a little bit hard. Now I can do it, and it's really not bad on these stocks and 40s, but on the 24x14s and 40s it was a little bit harder. So that's just something you'll feel, that the steering wheel is a little bit stiffer when you're sitting still. So when you're parking, you know, you may want to be rolling a little bit while you're turning when you have dual steering stabilizers. But yeah, as you can see, it's really not bad, the turning. And we'll just kind of drive along straight here and show you what it's like. So there's really not much to notice while you're driving straight down the road. It's really when you hit a pothole that steering stabilizers come in, or if you have an uneven road and it wants to pull you all over the road. But going down the road, you really can't tell if you have them or not until you hit something uneven in the road that wants to pull you to one side or the other. They're going to help keep you straight with these bigger tires that, you know, have a little bit more pull on it. If you think about it, the tires are kind of like more leverage over your axle, like a breaker bar versus a ratchet. It's a bigger tire, so when you hit something, it affects the axle more because it's got more leverage over it. It's bigger. It's farther away from the hub, so it really helps to have these steering stabilizers on here when you start hitting stuff. There is a little bit of bump down here, but it's pretty straight across. But I will go ahead and just turn the camera around and see if you can tell anything. So you kind of see it turn the steering wheel just a little bit, but I hit both at the same time. Both wheels hit the bump at the same time, so that was just bump steer. That kind of comes with hitting a bump in a big truck, but really you're gonna have to hit a speed bump, and luckily I know where some are, so I'm gonna turn around. We're gonna hit some speed bumps with just one tire, and you can see how it affects the steering wheel, if it throws me off course or not, and I will be able to compare that again once I take these things off. But I'm really curious if I'll be able to notice it going straight down the road without them, because I don't think they really do much for you going straight, but maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't driven on these big tires without them. If y'all want to know anything more about my performance or the lift, anything I've reviewed on this truck, be sure to check out my channel, because I've made a review about a ton of stuff, and some of y'all may be interested in my turbo and exhaust kit. truck's a lot of fun. So right here at this speed bump, it's kind of supposed to be a median roundabout type deal, but it works really well for what I'm trying to do here because I can hit it with just the one tire, and we can see how it affects the steering wheel. So let's take a look. So yeah, it really didn't affect it very much at all. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what hitting that bump is like inside and out. It's a little windy out, so we'll see how that comes through. But I'm just gonna hit some regular speed bumps, kind of slower speed. We're gonna watch the steering wheel, just kind of see how that does. Yeah, you can see it really doesn't affect the steering wheel much. And that's what the steering stabilizer is supposed to do. Let's try driving down the roads a little bit more, see if we hit any potholes, and then we'll go ahead and start removing these stabilizers so we can tell the difference. This road has a couple of little uneven bumps here and there, so just kind of give you all a shot of the steering wheel and just see how it acts as I'm driving down the road that's a little bit uneven. There was a little bump there, really didn't affect the steering wheel at all. Might be too nice for a road. Let's hit these little reflectors. Yeah, it wasn't anything. Can't find a ton of potholes that you can really tell while driving this thing. The speed bump is a good comparison because I can do that directly the same speed, but I think as far as just general driving with or without the steering stabilizers, it's gonna have to be kind of a seat of the pants thing where I'm gonna have to tell you my honest opinion about it. You really can't feel it through the video, so I'm gonna go ahead and yank these steering stabilizers off and see if we can tell the difference. All right, it's time to remove these steering stabilizers. Looks like you got a nut here. Gonna have to come off, and then this nut and bolt there, the center bracket, and everything should stay in place bracket wise because it's attached here and here to the axle there. So just go ahead and get this out of the way, and we'll still leave the BDS bracket. We'll be able to go test it out, see if we can tell the difference, and they should go right back in with no issues hopefully. So let's start wrenching on it. Alright, those nuts came off pretty easy, and I'm assuming this is going to want to extend once I pull it out, but we'll see. Looks like it's staying right where it's at. If I can get it off this bushing here. Been prying it a little bit with the ratchet, and that seemed to help. There she goes. Alright, there's one off. We'll just knock this guy off and then go drive it around some. Alright, got them both off. Let's go take it for a test drive. Well, that took all of about 10 minutes to remove. I hope they go on as easy as they came off. I think it looks kind of funny without them. Don't usually see a truck this high without steering stabilizers. And now that little BDS bracket looks kind of naked there without them there, but we'll go take it for a drive. We'll see right off the bat if I can notice the steering difference, and then we'll hit a couple bumps and see what it does. Alright, we're coming up here to this same first turn, but just pulling out, I can already feel it feels totally different. It self-straightened out when I started going a lot quicker, and it just feels a lot more touchy and kind of strange. So let's go ahead and see how turning at a dead stop feels. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the wheel. Still kind of hard. The 40s definitely, you can still feel them. Not really much easier there, like I thought it would be. But yeah, I don't have to like guide it back straight as much, which I guess is nice. Feels super weird to me though. Yeah, I feel a lot more feedback in the wheel. Like, I guess you could say vibration, or just the road. Feel the road more. It's definitely a difference. Not sure if I like it or if it's worse. Alright, got a little bit of a bump coming up here. Got this guy braking because we're going downhill and he's afraid of going more than 45. So, bump didn't really jerk the steering wheel, but after the bump, it kind of wanted to go off the road slightly. Nothing drastic. I don't feel unsafe or anything. So I just turned around in a neighborhood, and it definitely is a lot easier to turn at lower speeds. When I was at a dead stop, didn't really notice it, but at lower speeds, it is easier without them, which I expected. You know, you don't have the steering stabilizers like trying to fight you as you're steering, because they want to stay straight. So a little bit easier. The steering wheel feels a little bit more loosey-goosey. Not sure how I feel about that. I kind of liked how tight it was with them. So first impressions driving without steering stabilizers. It's not exactly scary. I think it's doable. I don't necessarily like it. I think I do like having the steering wheel tight. It's a little bit strange having your steering wheel be a little bit more sloppy than I'm used to, but it's not the end of the world. I think you could get by without them, but let's keep going, hit some stuff, and then see from there what we think. About to hit the same bump from earlier, the same speed, the same tire, going the same direction and everything. These mud graps sound crazy on this fresh concrete. So again, didn't really jerk it too violently, but then the steering wheel didn't really go back to straight when I was done. It started to kind of drift off to one side or the other. Another thing I just noticed, it kind of stays more where you put it now, whereas the steering stabilizers really wanted the steering wheel to be straight. So if I turn the wheel a little bit and then let go, it stays where I put it, whereas the steering stabilizers will bring it more back to center. I never even noticed that until just now. I went to start going and it was just kind of veering off by itself. Yeah, it really doesn't affect it too much. Just kind of leaves it wherever it pulled it. I'm starting to go left here now. I don't know. Nothing huge. Nothing major. Definitely a little bit more loosey-goosey. Alright guys, so in conclusion, you don't necessarily need steering stabilizers, but you're probably going to want them. I mean, they look right. It looks funny without them down there, because everybody that has one of these lifted trucks has been told that you need them. But for safety reasons, really what's important here is when you hit a bump, when it takes it out of your hand a little bit, it doesn't really go back to center without them. And that's the main thing. And the faster you go and the harder you hit a bump, the worse that's going to be, because if it jerks it out of your hand and then you're going off the road, if you're going 80 miles an hour, you're getting off the road real quick. So that's kind of why you need them. But the people that are telling you for years that you do need them are kind of the same people that say you can't fit 37s on one of these trucks leveled. Just because it's not a good idea doesn't mean it's possible. You could run 40s on a big lift without aftermarket steering stabilizers. I'm going to go ahead and not recommend it. It felt weird to me. I didn't like it. Felt sloppy. I'd go ahead and get them. Now, you might not have to spend the money like I did on the Fox ones, but it's just part of the look, part of that premium quality. If you want to hit stuff hard, you know, I'm going for looks here. I want this to be, you know, a big mall crawler, but it is capable. I can do things with it if I want to, but I'm not trying to tear this thing up. Let me know what y'all think. Do you think they're really a necessity, or do you kind of agree it's kind of up to the buyer's discretion whether they get them or not? Let me know what you think, and be sure to check out Grappaholics on Instagram, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you want to see from me in the future.